Kentucky,
or Louisville, or
River City,
or Glitterball City is another name we've learned. And my favorite way of hearing you pronounce it is
Lowell.
What was that?
Lowell. I swear it's the way the locals say it. Lowell.
Very nice. You sound like a local now.
I'm picking up the southern accent.
And we have not done a Brassy Roadcast since our adventures to Crystal River.
That's been a long, long time. I'm glad we're back.
Me too. I would like you to start us out by talking about, so we are staying at an Airbnb that you picked because I am no longer allowed to pick the accommodations on the trips. So tell us about this Airbnb where we're podcasting from in the bed this evening.
Where we always podcast from. So you're talking about that trip when we went out to Acadia National Park. Okay. And for all of our listeners who may have followed that particular trip, Jen used a different agent than what she should have to book a hotel. We ended up at the wrong hotel. It was a little and so then she was banned from ever making any reservations again. So I made the reservations for this particular Airbnb. And if you are familiar with Louisville or Lowell, it is in the New Lou, or what they consider to be the New Louisville section of town. So fairly close to Angels Envy, the Louisville Slugger Stadium, that kind of in that area. So very trendy, lots of bars, shops, cute. We are on the second floor of this particular Airbnb, and it's a redone old brick building, I guess, for lack of a better term. On the first floor, it has a trendy, I can't say this word, I want to say acai, but acai. So I'm, here I am showing my age again. So they're below us. We're the next one, and there's a penthouse above us. And it's very nicely appointed and decorated. It has an exposed brick wall, all that kind of fun stuff. There have been some issues, which I think we will discuss in a chronological order. So we didn't really have any until today. So we'll table that until later in this particular podcast, right?
Oh, yeah. Because is it really a vacation if there isn't a little hiccup or a little drama somewhere along the way?
Well, God knows we love vacation drama. So, yes, Airbnb, because we really don't stay in hotels that much anymore. It's a better experience, I think, because we have a huge room. It's kind of all one room, kitchen, living room, bedroom, and then a bathroom. But it's a nice space, much nicer than what you get, I think, in a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And there may be some background noises that we hear because we are like right off of the street. The AC might kick on because I don't know if we are controlling that. And so maybe some ambiance in the background.
Oh, I'm controlling the AC. I'm a control freak, so don't think I'm not controlling the AC. So if it goes above 77 degrees in here, it'll kick on. But we were at like 68, so we should be fine. Better talk fast, though.
Okay, just in case. And, it's after 8 o'clock, and, we like to be in bed by 9, even on vacation. So yesterday's adventure, as soon as we got to town, we stopped into Angel's Envy.
Well, let's back up. Because, we can't pass an outlet mall without stopping.
Right. So we did that. And then we got into town.
Yes. Edinburgh Outlet.
Okay. Then went straight to Angel's Envy. And Beth, you are not a bourbon drinker.
Well, no, not at all, really. But you are, and it's your birthday trip. So by all means, we're going to go to Angel's Envy.
And I was perfectly fine to not even do the tasting, but you said, no, let's do that. So how was that for you? I was a little concerned about if you were even going to make it through that.
Well, so when we entered the Angel's Envy, kind of retail area, and they have a desk there was a young lady, asking, what we wanted to do. And there were only 2 spots left for a tour that was going to be a couple hours from then. And you looked at me and said, well, you don't like bourbon. And I'm like, no, I don't. Well, this young lady said, well, I can get you to like bourbon. And I wanted to put a wager on it because I thought, fat chance, little girl, but sure, you could try. So yeah, we paid $25 for me to, make screwed up faces and the kind of noises.
But you learned a lot, didn't you?
It was incredibly educational. And ironically, it was the same girl who, greeted us that did the actual taste testing. But when we walked in and I saw a piece of chocolate by the glass, I knew I was going to be okay. And I did learn a lot. There's a nose to bourbon and there's a palate to bourbon. And there are particular ways that you can drink bourbon to bring out, different flavors and, all that fancy stuff.
I was very proud of you for trying it.
Yeah, the woman across from me was entertained by my faces. And I swear to God, I wasn't trying to be dramatic. I really made those faces uncontrollably. I mean, it tastes like cough syrup. And no, I don't have a refined palate. And I think, you and I've talked about, I don't drink beer. When I was in college, it was Boone's Farm, $1.98 a bottle. And that was much better than beer. I've never been a big, some of you folks who know me are going to laugh when I say this. I've never been a big drinker with anything of any kind of value. So, I went from Boone's Farm to, I had that bad experience with that Captain Morgan Spice rum one time, but that wasn't, that didn't count. Malibu rum, wine that's, not expensive. So I just don't have a discernible palate when it comes to alcohol. Angel's Envy probably is like the best. Well, Blanton's apparently is quite good as well. But yeah, bottom line, no, I don't like it. Don't like bourbon.
Well, I appreciate you trying it and doing the tasting because that was really fun for me.
You look like you were enjoying yourself and you look like you enjoyed all of my bourbon that I could not drink.
I did, yes. So overall, I think Angel's Envy was a thumbs up. And it was a really great experience. And if you are thinking of doing any bourbon tasting in Louisville, then I highly recommend it.
And what was really nice is their tasting room and some other things that they have. It was nice that Angel's Envy was very centrally located. It was within really walking distance to where we're staying. So that was a big attribute for it as well.
Yes. And then last night, we did what I think has been one of the highlights of the trip. We did a ghost walk through Old Louisville, and Beth also found that and booked that trip.
When we went to Niagara on the Lake with our friends and you're flipping through, I don't know, one of the local magazines, or I don't know how you found this ghost tour thing. And, I'm not the kind that likes to watch scary movies, Don't make me sit in front of Halloween, anything like that, even though you think my creepy true crime is creepy, and it is. But I don't know, there's some kind of difference. Anyway, it was a great way to get the history of the area. And the guy was very theatrical and wore a black cape and a black top hat, and it was really cool. So what that has done for us has brought us to doing these every vacation because we get such good local history out of it. And some pretty cool stories that aren't uber creepy.
I would agree with that. What was really cool was getting to see some of the architecture. Wow, that's a hard word.
Try it again.
Yeah, okay. Architecture of these older homes that were built probably late 1800s, early 1900s, and they were giant. I mean, like 6,000 square feet. They were huge.
Yeah. 8 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms. Well, now, if you were paying attention last evening, what were the 3 main money makers for Lowell?
And it's so funny because every time we drive around big neighborhoods, even in Indy, we're like, what do these people do? How can they afford to live in these giant houses? But we learned last night what they did to make that income. And it came from horse racing, which is not surprising down here. It came from bourbon, or it came from tobacco. It was nice to learn how those people actually made the kind of money to have those big houses.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And, I didn't even think, dumb me, about the tobacco thing. I mean, I knew horse racing and certainly bourbon. And even driving out to some of the distilleries today, some of those houses out there, have to be the owners of these places. They're pretty large, pretty cool. But the tour itself was very interesting. David, our tour guide, truly interesting guy, and has written some books and had all sorts of information on these houses and was truly it's one of the best tours I think we've been on.
Bonus, we got to see where Muhammad Ali got married.
Yeah, that was cool. That was really neat. Yeah, I kind of forgot about his presence in this town, but that was a neat story as well.
So yeah, big thumbs up. If you get the opportunity to do that ghost tour, we highly recommend that. That was so much fun.
And it's called the Old Louisville Ghost Tour.
And then the drama started when we got home. Dun, dun, dun.
Well, actually, no. The drama started before that. Actually, it wasn't drama as much as it was really bad choices that we made. So we had we had lunch at the Against the Grain. Mm-hmm. Great place. It's right across the street from the Angel's Envy place. So we had a nice lunch, macaroni and cheese with pulled pork on it. It was great. Jen had a pulled pork sandwich, hello, Louisville, and barbecue. So it was a long time then before we had dinner. We didn't eat dinner before the ghost tour. It started at 7:30. We weren't done until about 9:30. So we're driving back and we're thinking, okay, let's just grab a burger someplace. And so we got in line at the Wendy's, but something just told me, no. So what's a better choice than Wendy's? We went to White Castle.
Sober.
Stone cold sober. I don't think we've been to White Castles for 10 years. I mean, it's a long time. Yeah. So we took home a sack. Aren't they called take home a sack or something? You wouldn't believe, this is a little embarrassing to admit, but when I first moved to Indianapolis, because we didn't have any White Castles up north, I'm like, what the hell is that word? Tacoma sack. When you don't grow up with it, I had to sound it out phonetically. I finally got it.
That explains a lot. And it's not like it's not like it was hashtag take home a sack.
Right. Had it been hashtag, I would have had it. So we, you left two, I call them gut bombers. I know they're sliders, but you left two in the fridge. And every time I open up that fridge to get water or pop, I about pass out because it smells so gross this morning. So anyway, yeah, that was the pre-drama. Then we got home. And you go ahead and tell this part. Oh, you go ahead. You sure?
Yeah.
All right, because I might just get more, pissed and animated again. So the location that we are on a very busy street, think kind of like a broad ripple with, shops and restaurants and bars. And so the parking for this particular Airbnb is down this alley. There are 4 units here that they do Airbnb, and there are 4 parking spots. We are in Unit 2. There is a sign that says Unit 2 parking. We parked in Unit 2 when we got here yesterday. Then we left for the ghost tour. Then we went and got gut bombers. And we come home, and guess what? All 4 parking spaces are taken. Guess who got pissed off?
Not me.
No, me. Because people are supposed to follow rules, and it upsets me when people are rude. Now, I didn't think clearly at the time that perhaps when the people that were erroneously in our spot got here, that somebody was in their spot. So they thought, well, I'll just take another spot. Because when I got a hold after 45 minutes of the people managing the Airbnb, their way of handling it was, just park in one of the other 4 spaces. Well, what if one of the other 4 spaces was taken, as it was? But then our guardian angel, Sarah, who works at, what's the name of that place? Louberry, right underneath us, was leaving. So, me, I'll talk to anybody, especially if I have a problem. I'm like, excuse me, but do you know if you can park on the street for, overnight? Because that's where we were. I was not happy about that because, I love my 10-year-old car and I take very good care of it. So in the course of conversation, Sarah said, I'm parked in number 4, which I still don't quite understand how she parked there if she's not part of this, but God love her. I didn't ask, don't want to know. Don't ask, don't tell. And so she gave us her spot because she was leaving anyway, because it was the end of her shift. So we parked in spot 4. And when we got up this morning, they were still in our spot number 2.
But we had a spot and it was fine and it all worked out.
It was fine other than there were some gross things. So we're right across the street from a bar. And there were porta potties. It's just a gross area. And I was too close to the gross area.
Understood. but it all worked out and we got a place to park. The dynamic with us is funny because usually if one of us starts to kind of lose it and get really mad about something, the other one remains pretty cool, calm, and level-headed. And I was the level-headed one last night.
Yes, you were. Nice switch, huh?
It is nice for me to be the level-headed one and not be the one losing it. Because you are such a rule follower, I know that it makes you a little bananas when somebody else doesn't, at least it doesn't look like they followed the rules, or maybe they were a little like selfish or something.
Or my other hot button, and you get tired of hearing me say this, but rude people, like I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that somebody else was in their space. They just didn't say, oh, I'll just park wherever I want to, because that's rude. And rudeness will incite me faster than anything. Don't be rude. Don't be a dick.
Well, there you have it. I mean, really, those are good rules to live by.
Just be kind. You know, we've seen a lot of those signs today. And really, I mean, just think of somebody beside yourself. So again, I'm going with they just didn't have any place else to park. And the people who told us just to pick a spot told them to pick a spot, and they picked ours.
Okay. I'm good with that. Okay, on to today's adventure, which was a very good adventure. Today's adventure involved more bourbon stops and a trip to a Civil War battlefield and a little more drama when we got back. So the morning started with, I'm sorry, you look like you want to say something.
I do want to say something because today's a special day. Today is your birthday.
Yes.
Today's your 51st birthday. So you got served stale donuts in bed. At least your coffee was hot.
It was, and I appreciated you making that coffee for. Oh no, wait! I had to make my own coffee, didn't I?
Coffee, yeah, because I was busy planning a surprise for you.
Oh yeah, that was a good surprise. You want to tell our friends how you gave me my surprise and what it was?
No, because I don't know what that book is, and you kind of got to set the scene for it.
So I put my journal, my daily journal, was sitting on the bed. I was doing something and not paying attention.
Making your coffee, apparently. Making your own coffee, apparently.
Yes. So I was busy making my own coffee. And then I came back and I flipped open my journal and got ready to write. And when I flipped it open, there was my birthday present, a Swatch watch hidden in the journal, because I'm a dork and I still love Swatch watches.
I don't even want to count how many Swatch watches you have. However, it's just a really great, easy to get you present. They have a lot of them. They have a lot of different options and colors. Today's, I think, was more sedate than some I've purchased for you in the past.
Yes, but your presentation was wonderful.
I did get a really good laugh out of you. I always like that.
And then we loaded up the car and headed toward Bardstown and made a couple of stops on the way there. We stopped at the Four Roses distillery, and we also stopped at Heaven Hill, where they make a bunch of different bourbons like Elijah Craig and Evan Williams and Larceny. And then we went into town.
Well, let me ask you this. So, the reason why we ended up in Louisville. So, I wanted to take you to Star Wars. Mm-hmm. And unbeknownst to you, they have now built a Star Wars hotel near Disney. And all-encompassing Disney, Epcot and Hollywood and whatever else is down there. I don't know. It's been forever for me. But anyway, they've built this hotel that is like a Star Wars ship. And you can get immersed in a mission. And it includes all of your food, all of your non-alcoholic beverages, admission to the park, transportation, I believe, to and from the park. And I'm like just getting so excited about this. So you and I get on the phone with, this one cracked me up, Elsa, Disney. Anyway, and we're telling her, the dates that we were thinking of and whatnot. And they can't just give you a price. I don't know what all they plug in, but they have to plug in a bunch of stuff. So we're on the phone for like 15, 20 minutes. And then Elsa says, Okay, well, that would be $5,700. I had my credit card out, even though my eyes rolled back in my head, because that just seemed like it still seems like an unbelievable amount. But if that was what you wanted, that's what you were going to have. You, being of sound mind and body, decided that that was way too much money. Thank you. So here we are in Louisville. Because I wanted to go, we wanted to go someplace. You had a couple events that had canceled. And so I just wanted to take you away someplace. So that's how we ended up in Louisville. And it's really appropriate because you do love bourbon, which leads me back to the initial question I was going to ask when I interrupted you. How much bourbon have you bought?
None.
Right. I don't understand.
Because I have bourbon at home.
Okay, so I'm asking you, what's your favorite bourbon? And you're blah, 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 blah. And then, okay, so it's Angel's Envy. You like Blanton's, but I know that's hard to find. So I know we have like 1 inch of Angel's Envy in the bottle at home. Why didn't we buy a bottle of Angel's Envy? You don't have a good answer.
Because we have some at home.
1 inch? Be glad I don't like bourbon because that'd be gone. I still don't understand why we haven't bought any bourbon. I can't get my head around it.
And it's fine. It's not a big deal. Maybe we'll get some tomorrow.
Okay.
So we go to Bardstown and we walk around there, and it's super, it's a really cute town.
Yeah, it had some neat stores, and we ate, so we had, gourmet hamburgers last night for dinner. So what did I want for lunch? I wanted a real hamburger, real meat, burger. So we ate at Bardstown Burger, which was really good.
Yeah. And then we walked around and shopped a little bit. And then we went to Perryville to the Civil War battlefield. And you look like you want to say something.
Well, again, yes, because you say things, it makes me think of things I want to say. Do we want to talk about the restraint that you displayed in not purchasing a pair of boots? So I think the people that know you know that you have certain proclivities or certain things that you collect. Guitars, ukuleles, Swatch watches, boots. You and your boots. Seems like every vacation we go on, you get boots. So what did we do today? We go into this store that I can tell as I'm walking into it, like, I'm not going to like this store. But what were there? There were leather coats. None of those worked. Whew. And then I find you a pair of boots.
And they were super cool. They had cactus on them. They were awesome. But I'm not going to buy something I don't absolutely love, because I am, as with this age and wisdom, is also, I think I'm getting a little more restraint.
Really? Okay. I thought they were neat. They were different. They were very different from anything. They were very different from anything that you would normally wear or pick out, I think, even. But I don't know. Yeah, I was impressed and proud of you now that you're 51 and all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then we went to Perryville to the Civil War battlefield, which was the bloodiest Civil War battle in Kentucky, and drove around, went to the museum, and they have a great museum there. And the gal running the desk when we went in there was just full of information.
Yeah, and they just won an award. I don't recall if she mentioned who the award was from, but as being one of the most authentic and intact battlefield, Civil War battlefields. So I thought that was very interesting.
It was. And, for the longest time, I've wondered, how could things get so bad that we could actually have a civil war in the U.S.? And the way things are going, I'm like, oh, yeah, we need to get it together and get back to common ground and find things that we can agree on, because it's just such a reminder that that was such a horrible time in our history.
It is. And when you stand and read the plaques they have in certain, spots of different battles, and it's very distressing to read some of the plaques and the number of men that were killed and how they would just you and I talked about this, taking over farms to, commandeer everything there. It's very sobering. And you think, how could that have possibly happened? Just like you say. And then you look at war today and the reasons why we fight wars, and it's disturbing. So today it was very interesting because, we are nerdy in that way, but it's so often distressing to think about what our ancestors went through and what our children may face in the future. Rhetorically, not our children.
Right.
Finley will never have to fight in a war.
And then we came back and we went shopping.
Again. Did we buy any bourbon? No. But did we buy sweatshirts? Sure we did.
Well, there's this really great shop that was down the street. It's called Blowfish. And they just have a really cool mission. And I'm going to let Beth read that.
Yeah, they have their mission on the wall, and the header is all for all. The Blowfish slogan, all for all, is the belief that everyone should have the same opportunities in life, no matter your gender, race, sexual preference, religious beliefs, or abilities. The slogan and message are deeply ingrained into our company's culture and our customers, with 10% of every sale going directly to charity and charities rotating monthly. I think that, and the gentleman that owned it, Logan, was who waited on us. And, you can just feel when you're in the presence of good people, good, genuine people. And I really felt that with him. And, buying a sweatshirt and a t-shirt from him versus $300 boots from, some boutique in Bardstown, it made a difference. It felt better.
Yeah. And it was also interesting to kind of contrast that with, we have actually made progress. When you think about where we were earlier in the day in the Civil War, and as a country, we are making progress, even though sometimes it feels incredibly slow, and that, sometimes it feels like we're actually going backward at times. But there are such good people out in the world trying to do good things and trying to create that equity so that everyone can have all the good things in life.
Yeah, it was neat. Their thought process with sizing, it wasn't small, medium, large, extra large. It was numerical, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it was just neat to hear him explain, how they were kind of coming to that conclusion of number systems. But I agree wholeheartedly with you. You go through history and you see the things that we saw this morning in the movie that we watched that was in the museum, and it can't help but make you feel a little down. And then you see the goodness in people. And there are everyone here is very nice, really. I think that the town itself is very nice, and it gives you hope.
And then for dinner, we went to this fantastic Cuban restaurant. And one of the things that we've noticed since everything opened up after the pandemic is that service, when we don't even want to go out to eat anymore, usually because the service is not great or the food isn't great. Something is just always missing. But not tonight. This was probably one of two of the most incredible dining experiences. I would even say maybe even before COVID. It was so good. The food was incredible. Our server was great and just took the best care of us. And the restaurant was called...
I was going to give it a shot. I'm trying to read it. I tried to order off the menu and you laughed at me, but she said I was close. The restaurant is called La Bodeguita de Mima.
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty close.
Or you could just say the Cuban restaurant in Louisville, because it might be the only one.
No, I looked, there were some others.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. But this was really cool. We sat outside. We were right on the railing, so, we could watch people in the street. We had ceviche as an appetizer. I had mahi. You had shrimp. It was just really, really good food. And then they came out, and what was that thing she was holding that was blazing? I don't know. It was like this biggest sparkler I've ever seen, and sang happy birthday to you, I think.
Yes.
And gave you a piece of chocolate cake.
Yes. That's going to be breakfast in the morning.
I was thinking it might be a snack after this podcast.
That's also a possibility.
Because you know why? We better wrap it up. It's 10 till 9.
Well, we have to talk about what happened when we got home.
Oh, crap. The drama.
So we have this fabulous dinner and we're in the best mood and we come home and then what happened?
So the entrance, since we're on the second story, there's a stairwell outside, but they have tried to make it secure by putting a metal door on it and then some caging, if you will, looks like. And the lock on the outer door wouldn't work, wouldn't open, wouldn't budge, wouldn't make a sound, wouldn't do squat. So since we had the problem last night with parking and didn't get what I felt to be an expedient enough response, I called this time. And it was either a woman or a screaming toddler that answered the phone. I really couldn't tell. And so, yeah, she didn't really have an idea of what to do. Could be that the batteries were old or sometimes they move around in there. So she was going to call the people above us and see if they were home that could come down and let us in. So we hung up and I decided to take matters into my own hands, or feet, as we would say. And I just gave the door a little donkey kick in case there was a issue with the batteries being loose. And voila, the lock worked. It opened that time. So we thought we were in the free and clear. We're sailing now. And we walk up the 2 flights of stairs, push our code into the door, and
wah, wah. We didn't even get that. It was nothing.
No sound, no bells, no whistles, no nothing. Nothing. So at this point, I'm over it. I just was over it. Here you go again. You know, you were the calm one tonight. So thank you, birthday girl. And you called back. You called this woman back. And then I don't know what happened. So you can take it from here.
And I just kept pressing buttons. And for some reason, it finally worked. And we were able to get in. But then when we got in, then the alarm system was making some kind of awful ruckus. And
tried the ruckus?
And so I go over to the panel and like there's low batteries. That's the problem.
Low batteries.
For everything.
Maybe they were not connecting in there well. Maybe they were loose.
I don't know. But anyway, we finally got in, decided we better make a podcast and not leave again in case we couldn't get back in.
We're trapped.
So I think that is the end of our adventures so far because we are heading back home tomorrow.
And I just hope that you've had a wonderful 51st birthday. Thank you for spending it with me. I should thank your mom and dad for birthing you because you've certainly been the greatest gift I've ever had.
Oh, that's really sweet. I think that's a really nice place to wrap this podcast up. So thanks for tuning in, friends. Thanks for listening. Now get out in the world and do some good.